Join me today as we explore the relationship between the heart and the lungs and how mobilizing them can help benefit the heart, can help with fullness of your breath, and can also alleviate a lot of tension in the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Today, I'd love to share with you a little bit of exploration with the heart and the lungs. Now, we may not often think about these organs in our upper chest, but I think when we begin to recognize that just as a joint or a hip or toes may need to mobilize and feel their range of movement to create some ease in our movement lives, the same is true for our organs. We want our organs to have glide and ease with each other as well as the structures around them. So sometimes we can stretch our bodies until the cows may come home and not really feel any differences in that. And that may have to do with how our organs may have a little bit of congestion or stickiness, and we're helping hopefully to promote their glide in this exercise. This can lead to better heart health. Your lungs might feel more freedom of being able to take in air, take in more air, and exhale more fully. And it just helps with relieving a lot of different tensions that we might hold anywhere in the neck or the shoulders or the upper back. So we're playing today with the counter rotation of the heart and the lungs. So on the left side, we've got 2 lobes of our lungs, and on the right side, we have 3. And those lobes can move independent of each other, and they can also counter rotate with the heart. So simply do that for a moment. Imagine that your fist here is your heart, and maybe you have one side of your lungs. And notice as your heart rotates one way, the lungs can glide the opposite direction. That's kind of what we're playing with today. Remember that if this is new for you to kind of think about your organs or move from your organs, it takes a little practice. And you may want to pull up some images about what the heart or the lungs look like to help you envision what's happening here on this inside space. But what we'd like to start with is simply feeling a little bit of a rounding of your back, and imagine your lungs all through here wrapping around the heart as the heart moves back towards the back part of your body. And then let's do the opposite. Let's bring the heart forward as the lungs glide and wrap around the back of the heart. So do that several times, and you can go at your own speed, just feeling a little flexion and extension of your spine, but we're doing it by moving or trying to initiate from the heart and the lungs. So we're wrapping around the front of the heart as the lungs glide forward, and then we're gliding the lungs back and gliding the heart forward to allow that mobilization moving into extension. Feeling that glide back and forth. Good. And then maybe we try just one side. So reaching one arm forward, I'm going to think about my lungs wrapping around. If I come here, you can see how my heart is going with my lungs. And then if I counter rotate the heart and allow the lungs to keep moving forward, that's a different sensation in my body. So I'm kind of using my hand to show you the movement of my heart as I breathe and mobilize the lungs in counter rotation from that. Maybe you do one side, maybe you do a little up and down. Maybe you take the heart with the lungs and then let the heart drop away from the lungs and the lungs wrap around the heart, finding that same side moving in through the space, noticing the glide, noticing the movement ease. If you come to a sticky spot, then just pause And maybe you take a breath there, or maybe you just skirt around that sticky spot, or maybe you imagine going a little further around it. And then maybe let's reach across the body. So we're getting the lungs wrapping in the front as the heart wraps behind. And after you do this, maybe for, a minute or 2 or 3 or however long it feels good on one side, then take a moment and reassess and simply notice what's different about the side that you mobilized a little bit versus the opposite side. And I can tell you from my own body, it does feel like I can feel this whole space around me really wide. I feel like there's a lot more space in my neck and my shoulders and my upper ribs here. So then you want to repeat that same thing on the opposite side, feeling the heart move back as it rotates and the lungs reach forward. Now you could do this seated if it feels better on your back to be seated. Finding that mobilizing, the gliding. I'm just sensing kind of like moving through water where things are weightless a bit, and I have as much glide as possible. And then the same up and down. Bring that heart, noticing the rotation or the glide of the lungs up and over the heart, and then the heart up and over the lungs. A few times there. And then begin to reassess again and notice if there's any differences. You may also play with simple stretches that you might already do in your daily practice of noticing how to gain a little bit more fluidity or movement or range of motion in your stretch from activating or initiating from the organ. So if I'm taking a stretch to the side here, I notice how right about here I feel a little restriction. I feel like that might be the edge of my stretch. But if I bring my attention to my organs, I'm going to start to condense a little bit these organs on my left side and feel the expansion of the lungs on my right side. And notice suddenly I've got a lot more range of ease that I can melt into for that stretch. So you can play with this in different ways, in different places. So it's like, I feel like my fascia or the kind of connective tissue around my bones is kind of limiting me to about here, and I really do feel the stretch. However, if I bring my attention now to softening one side of my lungs and expanding the opposite side, suddenly I have a lot more ease and fluidity through that stretch. And that enables my body to have a lot more possibilities of freedom of movement and twisting and turning and being able to relieve excess tension that I might be holding. I hope you keep exploring. Thanks for being with me today.